here because I was going to make a video about a few things like I always do. And I decided instead just to make a quick podcast / live video, if you will. And as I get older, I have to put on my glasses now so I can see things. It's unfortunate, but it's the reality of life. Before I came in, I apologize for being late to my own video. I have picked a shitload of raspberries right here. This is a shitload to me anyway. It's all I could find. These are some of the best raspberries. There's 2 different types that I've grown. I started growing raspberries about 3 years ago. My wife brought home like 2 different starters. One was called a Canby raspberry. By the way, Canby is a city that's across the bridge in Oregon, maybe like 20 miles from here. There was the Canby raspberry and then the Meeker raspberry. And I think I like the Meeker raspberry better. But they grew profusely. I mean, these things took off. Raspberry plants, I always wanted to grow raspberries. Every year we go pick blackberries. And for those who don't know, blackberries here, at least, are chili. The ones that grow profusely everywhere are Himalayan blackberry, which is I hate to say it, but it's an invasive species, and people have to cut it out and get rid of it. The funny thing is that we consider it invasive because it takes over people's landscape, but it's got berries on it, and they're good. Raspberries could have the same problem if they were left to spread everywhere. But my apologies for eating on camera. But, I just don't give a fuck. And that's the whole point. That's what this video is about, just not giving a fuck. Doesn't mean you don't care. Doesn't mean you don't have a responsibility or effort in life. It just means letting the little shit go. But I'm going to finish these before I continue. And there's a reason, I'll tell you. You'll see. Okay, so my strawberry harvest was a bit of a bust because it was so rainy. Now it's like 90 plus degrees out there and roasting hot today at work. I left early to try to get home before this store closed to get my kid a phone and do all this other shit. Ended up being totally hot. Traffic was bad anyway. I had to drive along the river, so I looked out at the river and I said, this is beautiful. Who gives a fuck? So I have to spend an extra 15-20 minutes in traffic. It sucks, but it's part of life. And, people in different situations have to deal with different shit. That means what you consider to be normal, what you consider to be an average, let's say, commute just to work, might be different than mine. I have worked for myself for the last few years, but I was a carpenter for like 15 years, on and off, as, working everything from roofing to foundations, additions, and new home construction, mostly remodels. And eventually got into doing, custom staircases and finish works, my own company. And then my back gave out, so I had to kind of give up on that for a while. Bookings, doing online things. I was selling kratom, which I still do. Then I also had a business making guitars, which I've spent a lot of investment in making guitars, and they're almost complete and 2 complete, but I haven't sold any yet. And so I have all these business ventures that I've tried in my life, and I just say, oh well. Eventually I will find a way to, and the motivation, because it's my own fault. It's not that I can't sell them. And that's kind of what I'm getting at. How not giving a fuck can bite you in the ass, I guess, sometimes if you don't put in the effort to sell your own merchandise. But that's not, of course, what this discussion is about, but it's a free-form discussion. And I'm open to all of your discussions and what you want to hear about. Let me know what you would like to talk about. I'm going to read the comments here in a minute and say hello to everybody. And I want to let you know that I'm just an awkward dude online doing a podcast slash live cast. It's still a weird thing for me. And that's, I think, a major point to make for this video, because it's awkward to talk to a bunch of people. I don't know how many are out there. It looks like 13 people, but that's like sitting in a room of 13 people who are watching me. Of course, it's different because there's not that same energy of everyone in one room, but at any rate, it is what it is. So I'm here kicking back, and I worked all day and it was hot, like I said, so I'm enjoying a cold beverage, which I will not do on camera because then they will make my video for only older people. So I'll stand over here for a moment while I'm doing my adult stuff, and I'll continue talking about what I wanted to talk about. So when I started this video, this podcast, I was talking about, at least the title, I believe, would just letting shit go. And every day I'm having, let's say anytime I have a rough moment where something doesn't work out, then I make the effort to just kind of laugh off and move on. And that works most of the time. As a carpenter, let's say, for example, I was at home, at work today, and I was building these custom window frames, which the raw cedar, and then my boss planed it down nice and smooth, then we sanded the hell out of it, and then we coated it with a nice, basically a spar varnish, like a varathane coating, and then we had all these pre-cut pieces. So it's not like you're grabbing raw wood and cutting it. It's like every piece was made specifically for that cause. And every single piece is a different length, so I have to measure them, try to do the math in my head, and figure out how can I best maximize this to have the minimum waste. Because if you are a carpenter and you just go in and you cut a bunch of boards at random lengths for whatever, you just grab one out of the pile and cut whatever length you need, you're either going to end up with, too many short boards, or a whole bunch of scrap and waste, or even worse, you try to grab all the best boards, and in the end you have all the bad ones. And we're working with cedar, so there's many knots and problems. And the point to that is you just have to kind of go with the flow. When you make a mistake, you make a mistake. And I try really hard as a carpenter not to make mistakes because it can be expensive, especially when you're using expensive woods. But anyway, I'm going to flip through the comments and say hi to anybody who has been or is here, and then I'm going to get into my cynical discussion here. Logic, hello. Hello, Acceptable 1000. Hello, Hot Retarded Chicks. Hello, Chris. Hello, Ryan. Hello, Eric. Hello, Adam. And hello... He says, Ryan says, just finished the kratom taper on day 3 with none and feel fine. Nice. Excellent. Kratom is a discussion I'd love to have, but I have not had the interest in quitting yet. At least in my life, I've found it beneficial. I mean, everyone who's tried it has probably found it somewhat beneficial, but it can become addictive. It can become a habit, like anything else, like my other friend over here. But I wanted to mention in the world of cannabis, for example, I thought when I was younger, like, this is too much. Like, I can't spend my whole life toking this much all the time. And I thought one day I'll probably lose interest and just stop smoking as much. And that actually finally happened in the last couple of years. Within the last year, like, when I'm at work, I don't smoke. I used to smoke at work. I might once in a while take a toke in the morning or at lunch, but I generally want to function. And I feel like if I smoke cannabis, it holds me back mentally and makes me less motivated. And I know that. So I choose to smoke less because I'm already a non-motivated person. I mean, let me put it this way. I'm motivated to do the shit that I want to do, not the shit that other people want me to do. And that is a huge problem in a lot of situations in life because you want to be able to do the things that are required of you. Let me change that and rephrase that. I'm very extremely dependable in doing all the things a boss asks me to do. So when my boss says, get this done and that done, I work on my own accord. When the boss goes out to lunch or he goes out to get some stuff from the store, I don't just sit around and lollygag because I can. I work my ass off. I work harder because I want to say, look, what I can complete. But the work I'm doing takes a lot of time and a lot of finesse. It's finished carpentry with nice woods. So I'm kind of like stuck in the middle of this happy medium and trying to, I don't know, make it good but not waste a month doing one little piece of carpentry. But at any rate, I don't remember what the really point of that was, but rather that work ethic is something I was going to do a video about. And I think work ethic is extremely important. It says a lot about a person. When I work with people who just slack off whenever they can, just like, all right, I feel uncomfortable around you. Go do your thing. Sit on your cell phone in the corner of the office or the room or the warehouse, wherever you might work. And, you know, I've worked with enough of those guys to know that time doesn't go by any faster when you're slacking. And I'm giving the work example because I think that it very much reflects our daily life, our daily feelings about life, that we know when we put in our all. When we get up in the morning and we're motivated and we do the things we're supposed to do. Like, as I said, you know, when my boss tells me what to do, it's one thing. But when I'm at home and I have to be self-motivated, that can be extremely, excruciatingly painful. You know, having to get up at a certain time and do something. Like, I know some people are really good at it, and some people aren't. I tend to be much more into introspection and research and learning in the morning. So when I wake up, that's when I watch informative videos and try to catch up on what's going on in the world, not necessarily in the media, but just in every other angle, scientifically, discoveries, things like that. And sometimes I sit back and wonder whether any of it fucking matters. And that's where I really wanted to go with this video, was to talk more about cynicism. And so I wanted to first apologize for my cynicism. I know that sounds funny. I've realized I come across a lot. I come across extremely more cynical than I really am. I'm actually a, how do I word it properly? I'm not a bubbly person. I can't define myself as a bubbly or extremely outgoing person. Let's just say when you get me started and I meet the right group of people and I feel trust and comfort around them, I completely let loose. I open up who I am. I share my heart, my deepest feelings. I have no reserved emotion that I hide away from society. I just don't express it to people who aren't worthy. You know what I mean? And so I come across as cynical online because when I'm watching a video or reading a book or whatever it might be and I'm learning about something new that is frustrating, like, it's hard not to make a video about it. No, and I want to make it clear that I don't most of the time because I know passing emotion. A great example would be what happened in Texas with Uvalde and the school shooting. I was, I'm still pissed off about that. There were 376 cops. This is, you know, I wanted to wait for all the info to come out so I could really breathe in and out and think about exactly how much of a failure it was. 376 cops waited over an hour to go in and stop one guy, one kid. I can't even I can't even fathom the ignorance and stupidity that goes into having that many people obey orders. But it gives me a perspective on, I should say, it doesn't give me a perspective. I'm hoping it gives other people a perspective that the good guys aren't always what you think they are, that humans are just humans. I'm not here to fault cops or any of that. I'm saying people are not as organized as we'd like them to be. They're not as on top of their game as we'd like them to be most of the time. So we have to be on top of our own game. And it's hard not to be fucking cynical because there's so many shitty people out there. So many people who make no effort. So when I saw that it was 376 cops, I thought, yeah, that's about right. That's about how many cops usually show up to a guy who gets pulled over for having a joint. I've seen it. I grew up getting busted from cops for stupid shit, and I get it. I know how much they spend their money on busting people with weed, or at least used to. And hey, we won that battle. Speaking of, I'm going to stand off camera for a minute to do that other thing I like to do that YouTube also does not accept. Because I don't give a fuck. Let me first read the comments, then I'll step off camera for a minute. Adam, yes, Kratom Taper, there we are. All right. Restless Legs, yes. Okay, we're talking about Kratom withdrawal. Pray for Carpo because he hates that, says Hot Retarded Chicks. I love you. For those who don't know in the comments, you should go to Hot Retarded Chicks page and totally give him a bunch of shit. Go to all his videos and tell him how much you love him, because he loves your love. He does. He's cool. It is a he. I know it says Hot Retarded Chicks. I've had some of my viewers accuse him of being a troll. He just has fun, and he's been a long time subscriber. I have a lot of subscribers because I feel like they've been with me from the deep. I've been through a lot of shit in my life, and anybody who's followed me through all my bullshit fucking deserves an award. I don't know. Cool rock and roll. Hello, my friend. He says, think for yourself. No one else is going to. Think outside the box. Couldn't believe I could not agree more on that one. Thinking outside the box, though, means seeing what the box is, and that takes a little bit of work sometimes. Eric says, oh, I cried in the Uvalde thing. Yeah, man, I'm totally with you. It fucking pissed me off. It didn't just piss me off. It fucking angered me to no end. I feel my blood boil every time I see that video. And I don't watch the media. I don't watch the news. Every time I see those cops standing in the hallway, and especially, I try not to be, pick up on the stupid petty shit, but that one cop putting hand sanitizer on his hands in the hallway while they're waiting for an hour to go bust this guy who's literally shooting kids. From what I understand, there were 376 cops over, I don't know, there was like 100 and something shots fired before the cops even showed up. So there is something there. But another 40, at least another 40 after the cops arrived, and how many people bled out. It's a disgusting fucking tragedy and a total failure of police. And I feel anybody out there who really thinks the cops are going to help them in an emergency, let's just step back for a minute and ask yourself, what is a cop going to do for you when someone's in your house holding you at gunpoint and you're not able to use your phone? What happens when you need to protect yourself and there's no time to call the cops? What happens when there's a power outage for an extended period of time and people start roaming neighborhoods? Do you know what a Mossberg is? These are things to talk about online because, let's just say, I've learned enough about firearms and protection and self-defense to know it's just the one thing out of all things you just don't talk about online. If you want to go post yourself over the internet holding all this stuff, go for it. That's some dumbass shit in my opinion. Because yeah, there are lists and there are people who are considered potential combatants and definitely not one of them. Just some dumb hippie who knows nothing about firearms. So we'll leave it at that. But I wanted to get back into cynicism here for a minute before I forget that the reason why I'm cynical sometimes is because our ideas change every day and there's no way to plan for the future. So we have all these ideas about what we really want to do as a society, but we kind of fall short of that. And, people have been promised a better world for so long. We have politicians and leadership and corporations telling you that everything's going to be grand and great. You know, go work for Amazon, then you can go to their Dome or Google and their relaxing quarters. The fact is, most people aren't going to work for these corporations. They're not going to have those benefits. For anyone who works at one of these fucking social media places, and talks about the future of work, who the fuck do you think built that building? People like me. People with hands. People with hands with wounds on them because we actually do real work. And look, I'm not trying to demean anyone who does what they do. But, I'm sorry, working in the internet realm itself is not real work. It's something that could disappear tomorrow and nobody would bat an eye. Like, people, of course, are addicted to social media. But what I mean is the basic needs have to be met. And things like food, water, shelter, these are things you can take pride in. It's kind of hard to take pride when you like are the founder of Facebook. Like look at Mark Zuckerberg, the founder of one of the greatest sites, right? He's probably miserable a lot of the time because having that burden of inventing something like that and then seeing, the total disaster it's become. It's a fucking dumpster fire, and so it's like part of me says the same thing about YouTube, Instagram, all of them. But also I realize it's a tool. It's about how you use it. Let me put it this way. If you're smart, you'll go out and you'll buy a grill. You'll mount it on the back of a pickup. You'll put a bunch of burgers on that grill. And then you'll back it over the dumpster while it's on fire. So you use that dumpster fire to cook some burgers. I don't know how to put that any more succinctly. That was a horrible way to define that, but it just came into my mind. I just picture, when there's a dumpster fire, mount a rack on it and fucking cook your burgers because that's the best we can do. Life is a fucking dumpster fire sometimes. People have to deal with all kinds of chaos and bullshit out there. And, there's no long-term jobs with real benefits. They say the employment's up, but the gig economy is basically what it is with no benefits. I work in construction. Even if we work full-time, no fucking carpenters, hardly any carpenters get benefits unless they're in the union. And even that's limited. Even when you have insurance, people are trying to dispute your insurance claim. Everything is bullshit. That's why people become cynical, and that's why I rely on myself. And that's also why I don't believe in socialism as much as I would love to. It gets corrupted by human beings. And I'm not a capitalist. I don't have a solution to our problems. I really don't. But, people are always promised something better, but nothing's changed, over the decades. Like, identity to people. And yet, responsibility to ourselves means nothing. It's a weird time to be alive. We are a society of consumers. I remember after 9/11, George Bush saying, all right, it's over. Go out and shop. He told us to go out and go shopping. Like that has been our leader's solution is to go shopping for so long. Keep buying shit. Keep being a dumbass. Buy that Hollister hoodie. Go out and buy some Gap jeans and, a fancy Coach purse. And I'm sorry if you're one of the people who thinks that buying brand name is going to make you cooler, but it isn't. And I feel like a dick saying it because I know that some people get offended by that. But you know what? People need to be offended. If you spend hundreds or thousands of dollars on something like, a brand name item that you could get for cheaper, you're an idiot if it's not something that actually functions better. So if it's just for the tag and it's not for the actual quality of the item, you're a moron for buying it. And you're wasting your hard-earned dollars on it. And I feel like if we don't tell this to the next generation, they're going to end up like my generation. But they're already there. I thought that the kids today would be smarter, and they're not. They're just buying dumber shit. I don't know what the solution is. You know, it's probably because we're so driven by what we want instead of what we need. We need to make what we need what we want. In other words, make what we want what we need, I guess. It's complicated. But I need to read the comments again because it's been a few minutes. Say hello to anybody who joined. What? Okay, here we go. I might not meet every comment, but if there's any serious questions, you can ask another one. Somebody said something about mushrooms. Yes. You know, I ground a whole bunch of mushrooms up, and I made a video of like grinding them in the grinder and making capsules, and then I didn't want to upload it because I was afraid of YouTube's bullshit. So, you know, my other channel used to be actually all about weed, but I don't even share weed stuff on there anymore because they make it only for adults. When YouTube makes something for adults only or 18 plus, then basically it just gets, canceled. Nobody sees it in their feed, and I don't know how many of my subscribers are young, so I try not to. I don't want to be that guy who makes content because it's controversial. I want to be able to reach all people, and that's a tricky one. Cool for rock and roll. David Bowie took a risk, and so did Prince in music. Yeah, they did for real, man. Jelton says he's got a Coach purse and wants to mount a 50 caliber in your car. That's funny, man. When I was younger, I loved Mad Max, and I actually, from the time I was young, have talked about having a Gatling gun mounted on my hood. It's kind of a half joke with my friends, but with me, that I've talked about with my friends, they probably don't realize it's a half joke. Oops, I think my phone might be dying, but I'll try to keep recording. Some of my subscribers might not have seen my school bus, but it's a bus, 21 footer, and I have thought about, after the apocalypse, mounting bars on the front, and making it Mad Max style. The problem is, it's got no balls. It would crash the first curb and just die. So I need something a little more powerful, like a big truck, I do feel like humans are headed for kind of an apocalypse, and I don't really care anymore. You know what I mean? What's Jelton say? I want to train my huskies to hunt for ammo and supplies. Fuck yeah. I didn't know you had huskies. I guess I wouldn't know that because I don't know you. Jelton is a subscriber of mine for a while now. And I don't know whether Jelton's a guy or a girl, which I'm assuming a guy because of the discussions we've had. I didn't know he had huskies. I don't know what color he is, what he looks like, how tall he is, where he grew up, where he went to school. None of it matters. They're just people online. And when we talk to each other with just words, it's like, it's weird. Sorry to get off on a tangent. I thought about this. I thought, I can sometimes define people and their intentions by their comments. And some people have these great comments where they put in the time. And I wanted to say I thank people for actually taking the time to leave comments on my videos. Because I read them all and I think, damn, some of them are almost too deep for me. Like, I would say that it is the responses on my YouTube videos that have given me the perspective to realize that I don't know shit. Even though I already realized I don't know shit. And it's funny because people have accused me of being arrogant for making YouTube videos. But there is another side of that. There's an insecurity in actually talking to the camera. And there's part of this that pushes me to let's just say connect with other people. I Anybody can make videos where they just talk to themselves, of course, and that's what I usually do. So honestly, I need to be out doing other shit right now. I didn't really want to make a live video right now, but it has been so long, and I thought, no, this will force me to see how coherent I am, to see if I'm really functional. I can hear my wife out there mowing the lawn, so, oh, and my phone just rang. It was Xander. Xander's my bro from Soak. Um, but anyway, I just wanted to make a quick video and just say hi to people and just, it's like a training, like pushing myself. And even when I make YouTube videos and upload them, I think, it's a way of me saying, am I still able to function and talk to normal people? You know, even at work, I'm kind of in my own world. I think we all are. Maybe some people hide it better than others. But I am sorry if I come across as cynical or maybe more depressing over the last couple of years. Everybody's kind of been affected by COVID, and I realize that me talking about negative shit doesn't really help that because I wanted to be a beacon of light, as stupid as that sounds. I really wanted to be a beacon of hope for people to say, you can be a better person, you can be a happy person, whatever that means to you. I'm not telling, that's the big difference. I'm not telling you what it means to be a better person, but we need to help ourselves, but not be impeded in doing so, and also not be influenced by other people. And that's complicated. I would never want a cult type atmosphere around my channel like some people have. And I've seen this happen so many times to people that it's so cringe that I don't even know how to like address that. But um, I know I'm just a douchebag talking on camera, that I've got other shit going on and that you don't see my life. Same way as every other guy, right? But, or girl, or maybe, right? So I needed to take a binger. I've been home for, I got home early to get my son a phone because his phone broke and we need to reach him because he stays home alone while we're at work, my wife and I. So I went to the, was back in an hour, had a sign in the door. So I used my camera and put it through. Oh, they didn't have what I needed. I had to zoom in. And came home and I was like, oh, I got to do something. So I cleaned up and fixed up underneath my kitchen sink, something I needed to get done. My wife it was driving her nuts, and I don't blame her. And then I had to go outside and fill up the kids' pool because it's a bigger pool, medium size, but they hadn't cleaned out the algae at the bottom, and so I had to clean it out, drain it, refill it because it's going to be like 105 fucking degrees next week. It was like in the 90s today, and it's going to be even worse. But pushing myself to do those things kind of, it feels good. It's like you just got to push yourself to do shit. It's complicated. Life is complicated. Comments real quick before I'm going to probably go in like 10 minutes, but I just wanted to give people not just a chance to chat or ask questions, but also to talk with each other. I love watching my subscribers talk with each other about different things. It's fucking awesome. Yeah, talk about Pink Floyd Dark Side of the Moon. I was thinking that the other day. I was listening to Animals, which is actually my favorite Pink Floyd album. It's become my favorite. I love The Wall when I'm tripping, but yeah, Animals has become one of my favorites. So thanks, Sierra. Eric says, Patience is Carpo's schoolie. Yeah, that's what I named her because she's so slow. It's fucking super slow. I could take you guys outside and go on a live tour of the bus if you wanted, but the battery's dead, so I had to go in through the back door. That might be kind of fun to do like a mobile walking tour before I go. Ryan says, you're not a douchebag, brother. I know I'm not a douchebag, and I really don't think I'm a douchebag. I just, it's there will always be some people, maybe 5% of people who are a douchebag. So it's hard not to take that and like that we're all easily affected by what other people think, I guess. Cool. for rock and roll says yes. Mistakes, be sure and inspire others. Fucking awesome. I love you guys. Seriously, my subscribers are awesome. I love your discussions. I've never. I'll tell you. Some people are like, your channel should have more subscribers. You should have millions of subs. I'm like, that would suck, because I couldn't make a live cast like this and talk to normal people. In fact, it reminds me of concerts and bands, and why, say, Jerry Garcia or, you know, Hendrix, for that matter, anybody, they would come to a town and they would play under a pseudonym, and play a small, intimate show because they wanted to be able to really relate to the crowd. And that's how I feel about, doing these videos. Like, I would hate to be able to not keep up in my comments. It's like perfect. There's like, right now, it's like the exact amount of comments I can keep up with on my live casts. And you see these people who really want to read it, but they can't. So, Menthol is in the chat. Man, you're fucking awesome. You just keep killing it, brother. Menthol was one of the early Kratom fucking advocates, and he helped us out during the 15 and 16 bullshit DEA crisis. And he says it's good you're posting and doing your thing. Well, it's weird that I'm doing my thing, because I thought I would give up by now. I honestly did. I quit. A lot of my motivation just goes away so quick, and that's pretty much what part of the reason I wanted to talk about this. Motivation can dissipate so quickly once you get into something new. This is why I recommend people who go to. It's like, don't try to find out what you want to do as a fucking 18-year-old. You have no idea. You know years. You have to try different things out. Even my son, who's 27 now, almost, he texted me today, asking about. He's like, he's working as a painter's apprentice, working for this painter, and he's like, he wants me to lightly sand this baseboard and this door and then stain it, but it won't take the stain. But it had varnish and stain before, and I was like, if you want to do it right, you have to sand it down with the proper grit. Basically this way: you take a piece of wood, the coarser the sandpaper, the more stain it will take, which sounds obvious when you think about it, because more fibers are disturbed. So if it's really fine sandpaper, it's not as porous and it won't take up as much. But when it has previous lacquer on it, you have to get that out all the way down into the pores in order to get the stain out to put new stain on. And he couldn't figure it out. And I was thinking, these are the things that we need to teach each other, I guess. Having a trade is a difficult thing. It's complicated. You have to know a lot of things. I was a journeyman carpenter at the point I had my own business. And that's kind of it's a misnomer, because as a journeyman carpenter, it means you know everything about how to run your own business. As far as, this is how I build a house. Nobody really knows. Do a little bit of researching and look at what the latest codes are. What is the best installation for this type of application? Nobody knows it all. So once I learned that, my friend Scoey gave me this drum. It's an Ico. He painted it himself. It's a Remo head. Thanks, Scoey. I was just talking to him. We're going down to a concert. It's a Grateful Dead cover band called Dark Star Orchestra. Sorry, my phone keeps reconnecting. It might die on me, like I've said before, because my phone sucks and I have no good live casting equipment. So as I said, make sure you hit the thumbs up button, because it helps my live cast and makes me maybe more likely to make one. Which brings me to a weird point of, why do I care if people like something? Not necessarily that complicated. We all want a little bit of appreciation, but sometimes I suck, and if I don't get a thumbs up, I think, do I suck? It's kind of a half joke. I'm flipping back through the comments right now, by the way. David says, hey David, don't try to hide being different, embrace it. I agree. Sarah says, God helps those who help themselves. I totally agree as well. Even though I don't believe in a particular religion, I do believe in that. It's in a different way. Um, oh, thanks, Sierra. Appreciate that. You have a Newmark turntable. Yeah, I found that at Goodwill for $20 or something, and it was all messed up because the plastic on it and the rubber is like all crappy. So I had to wipe it and clean it. Long story. Andre says, "Hello, Andre." He says, "Thoughts on agencies?" I don't know what you mean by agencies. You'll have to be more specific. Don't know. Amy, hello friend, says I actually feel extremely nostalgic for the world we just had 10 years ago. We always feel that way, universal. And Sarah says for the cell phone. Yeah, that's funny. As I said earlier, I got off work to get my kid a phone because I can't contact him. I don't really worry, but my wife does. I was like, when I was a latchkey kid, coming home, my parents would work, but a lot of kids in my generation in the 80s and early 90s were latchkey kids. Just means you come home, deal with your own shit, make your own sandwiches, might even get yourself off to school. And we had to be responsible. And I feel like all the helicopter parents of today, even the fact that parents are afraid to send their kids to the park, or don't even get me started on the fucking neighbors up the street who wouldn't even let their kids play with our kids or any other kids because of COVID, and they got locked away for 2 fucking years. Oh God, COVID, dude. I'm so glad that doesn't come up anymore. It was, yeah, I'm not even gonna go there. Life did seem more gentle. You're correct. And then Eric says, in what way? I think, yeah, the 80s and 90s seemed more gentle because people actually were creative and weren't just trying to yell at each other for who they were. Politics weren't even really an issue. But yeah, we got we dealt with our own shit back in those days. We got ourselves off to school. We picked ourselves up from wherever we needed to go. Look, I was a stoner fucking high schooler. I got kicked out of my high school sophomore year because I brought a bong to school. And somebody told on me because I showed my friend who was in some drug treatment class because he'd smoked pot once. It was dumb. It was Lake Oswego High School. They're just a bunch of yuppies. So they literally paid for me to go to another school. They were so desperate to get rid of me as a bad influence on the other kids. They sent me to an alternative school in Portland, Northeast Portland, like some fucking 20 miles away. I had to take 2 buses to get there, and it took me like almost an hour, and I did it every day, and came home every day, and I got fucking like a 3.5 grade point average because the school worked for me. It wasn't a bunch of idiot, pretentious douchebags and shitty teachers that pretend to be a good school. And it's all about how the students are treated. And then I ended up getting a scholarship to MLC, which is Metropolitan Learning Center, which is in downtown Portland, kind of northwest. And it's like a K through 12 alternative school, like an artsy school. And yeah, I did well there too. And it was great. But before that, going to these shitty schools, it was like, it was fortunate that I got away from that shit. I was really, really grateful to get away from that shit. So the point being that after I got busted and I was already, my mom came and she's like, because he found the bong, but then I had all this other shit in a pouch and I stuck it under my armpit and they wanted to search me and I didn't let them search under my arm. Turned into a bunch of shit. My mom bitched him out. We left, went to a different school. It turned into a good thing. And the rest is history. But I was a stoner the whole time. I have been for the last 30 years. And it didn't hinder my ability to get things done or be who I was. I wasn't the guy who let pot rule my life, but I always smoked it when I was younger. And I still do. But hey, what do you expect? Just a damn stoner. There was a point to that whole discussion, and then I got all nostalgic and shit. Sea sucks? What's sea sucks? Who's tired of the sea? Oh, the Cove. Yeah, dude. COVID's fucking bullshit, dude. I'm so done with it. I heard that San Diego wants to reimpose mask mandates. I was like, my wife said, yeah, they're somebody in the school district, said like, well, if kids don't feel comfortable wearing masks, maybe they shouldn't come back to school. It's like, oh god, there's always that guy. There's always the dude who wants to wear a fucking hazmat suit because he's scared of fucking viruses that don't even matter anymore. Nobody gives a shit about COVID. It's not novel anymore. And, people are still talking about it like it's some new thing. The media is probably going apeshit because they have no way to grab people's attention. Oh my god, COVID, you're gonna die. Even when it was at its worst, my only opinion was, sure, follow mask mandates for a couple months until we figure out how bad this is. And, maybe it's worse than we know. But, it's been like 2.5 fucking years. Give me a break. People are just fucking paranoid. And actually, I told my wife this earlier. I'm really grateful for COVID. Not only for the specific reason that it opened up a lot of people's eyes to how inept the government is, but that it also showed people how ignorant and inept their neighbors are. That these are the people who, when there's an asteroid strikes and, blows away half the city, they're just going to sit there in their house and call 911 until somebody answers. And nobody's going to answer. People got to be a little more self-sufficient and have a brain. And I don't mean that in a harsh way, but I do, because people are fucking stupid. There are so many dumbasses out there. And it's not a matter of saying, well, we shouldn't talk bad about people who are dumb. You're right, we shouldn't. But we should be aware of them, because you will be wading through them and tripping over them when the shit really hits the fan. There are some dumb motherfuckers out there. George Carlin nailed it. I mean, he talked about this in one of his greatest fucking comedy sketches of all time. But, he's like, there's some dumb motherfuckers, and it's true. You can't get away from that. I might be one of them. You might be one of them. Who knows? I guess it comes down to this. It depends on dumb in what way. So if an apocalypse comes and all that matters is whether or not you can identify a good stock or portfolio, then I guess maybe Wall Street people will survive. If a real world apocalypse comes and it's a matter of having food, water, and shelter, then I guess maybe a lot of those people who have enough money and a shelter built will survive and others won't. But it's not. Nobody knows what's going to happen. Nobody knows whether we're going to have a disaster or an apocalypse. So we go on as business as normal. I think that the more difficult things get, the more people will see that they need to be smarter in different ways than modern society. Knowing which cryptocurrency to invest in, bro. I don't want to go there, but I hate crypto. I think it's just not going to be the solution. Cryptocurrency will not solve our problems. We have much bigger problems than finances. But anyway, I'm going to flip through the comments real quick. I'm going to go in a minute here because I got to go in and eat some food. I'm hungry. They're stealing your money. Perfect. So thanks for coming along. Just a ramble of mine. And that's the end of it. I appreciate your time. And I wanted to originally say that it's hard for me to structure a time when I'm going to do a live cast. People have said they get they're bummed out that I'm stepping off camera to do adult stuff. People say that they want to come to a live cast and chat, but they don't know when I'm going to have one. And I wanted to say, don't take it personal. Because I don't know when I'm going to have one. And there's a reason for that. It's not because I can't schedule it. It's because I have to be in the right state of mind and feel comfortable and not awkward. I'm an awkward person. You might not realize it by my videos, but I'm just a human being. You know, I don't want to stand in front of a fucking bunch of people and look stupid. And I feel stupid sometimes making videos, like for YouTube. You know, it's funny, when I started doing this in my 30s, I thought, oh yeah, this is cool. You know, I like talking about this shit. And I used to share my grow room and my weed. And then now I'm like almost 50. I'm like, why am I still making YouTube videos? And, you know, I have had a couple people in the past in my life, people that I respect, say, you know, YouTube channels are stupid, you know, that kind of stuff. And of course it did maybe bother me at the time, but, you know, I'm way past that. Like, I don't let anybody else's opinion define what the way I feel today. I did let trolls get to me in the past, people who I would meet on YouTube, especially this guy named, I can't even say his name because if I do, it'll be like, oh my God, this guy was the worst. And he trolled me for like 2 years and I totally bought into it. But that's another story altogether. I believe this here that I'm toking is a nice indica that has, it's nicely ground up, and then it has some hash that a friend gave me. And I put that over the top like a hash oil. And then I put some keef over the top of that. And if you don't smoke weed, you're like, what the fuck are you talking about? What are you talking about, hash? I really hope everybody out there's having a good day. Because life's tough lately. It's kind of weird. You know what I mean? I'm not going to pretend like life's hunky-dory and everything's perfect every day. I struggle with the same shit all you all struggle with. What do I do? When do I do it? How do I do it? What's the best path? How do I move forward? How do I impress myself? How do I impress others? Not in an impressive, egotistical way. Let me rephrase that. How do I make sure that the things I do come across as being worthy by society and myself, and or myself? There are people who don't care what others think. But for me personally, I care what others think second to what I think. So it goes like this. When I talk about what is most important for me in my life, I say, number one, what's important for me to survive? Number two, what's important for everyone else around me that I love and my entire family to survive? And number three is, how do I help other people and strangers survive? And I know some people are already thinking, well, what do you mean? Like, family should come first. It does. But there's an old story. If you're not healthy, you can't help anyone else be healthy. If you're not taken care of first. This is why the male, let's say, was always fed first. It's kind of an instinctual thing, like in a lot of animals. Like, uh, yeah, God, it's kind of a harsh thing to even talk about because it comes down to the psychology. But I don't feel like I should protect myself as a male. That's not what I mean. Let me rephrase that. As a human being, the better we feel about our lives and our circumstance, the more we want to help others and the more kind we want to do, and the better job we can do with the things we do to survive. We do. I said do. We need to be able to help other people without being complete assholes. That's all. without expecting something in return, and definitely without doing it just so we can tell other people. Like, you hear about these folks who claim that they're into charity. It's like, if you're talking about charity, you're a fucking loser. Because you're just bragging. If you really care about other people, do it and shut the fuck up. Get on with your life, right? I mean, that makes sense, right? I made a video a couple weeks ago and I smoked some weed on it. And I ended up getting it was like 18 and older, you know. YouTube sent me a notice, but I haven't even made it public yet. It was a video called Drugs Are Bad, MK, and it was me justifying use of drugs. And it was kind of an experiment, I guess. I just smoked my bong, but before I even made it public, they sent me a notice. You know, their automated AI had turned it into a forbidden unit. So I was like, all right, well, what do I do about this? I'll just leave it as is and nobody will ever see it. Probably won't even make it public just because of that situation itself. So let me get to another point here I want to make. When I'm sitting here in front of the camera, it's a weird thing. I have my phone. I mentioned, I think in a previous video, maybe this one, I don't know, about my other camera and how they all took a crap, and I'm using my phone these days and how it's easier because I can just set it up and record anywhere. But I don't do a live cast very often for the simple reason that once I do it, it's done. I can erase it, of course, but people have already seen it, and I still, as a random YouTube dude, I feel awkward making videos. So half the videos I make, at least for YouTube, I never upload because they end up in the just trash bin. I'm just like, I record a video almost every day going to or coming home from work. Just like, you know, some philosophy like thoughts about the road and people and nature. And then I'm just like, it's a little too noisy. So I'm critical of my own thoughts. But then there are other times where I feel good and I'm just like, fuck it. I'm just going to post it anyway. I'm trying to figure out what that means. Where that line is. Who the fuck I am as a human being. It's weird. It's very weird. At any rate, I'm going to flip through comments for a moment, so don't mind me. I'm over here from this finger at this corner. I'm moving it down here to the comments. Andre says, common sense is the best knowledge, yay or nay? I think it can be, but I don't necessarily believe in common sense because it has to be learned. I think all common sense and all... yeah, I think all common sense is only common sense because we've learned about it. And so it depends. The opposite of apocalypse? Good question. Adult activities, yes. Whoops. Bumped the wrong button. Freestyler J Partner. Holy crap, that's a long post. It's got some flowers and cars and claps and trees and fires. I don't even know what that means. I'm going to have to decode that using my special emoji decoder. Eric says, Forrest Gump is my favorite movie. Yeah, God, you know it's funny. I haven't seen that in a long time. It's probably been at least 10 years, and I haven't watched it with my kids. At least my younger kids. My oldest, we watched it together when it came out. But yeah, I should watch that again. That's a great movie. Thanks for the recommendation. Of course, I'll probably have to pay a premium because I don't have it available to me. Maslow's hierarchy of needs. Eric says, I don't know. I'd have to do some brushing up. You know, I should do podcasts where I have like a computer here where I can like Google something and I could like answer people's questions so I could like remember. But that sounds kind of arrogant. Like you could Google it yourself, so that'd be kind of pointless. I've still tried to figure out some kind of like a way to do a podcast or a live cast where it's not just me talking. I want to have guests, but when my friends come over, I don't feel like they're really into like talking on camera. So it's kind of weird. I don't have anybody to interview, but hopefully one day I'll get there. Sierra says, making me laugh. Deedster says, or those who have to record their good deeds, would they do it without recording it? Exactly. Exactly. You know, it's like getting your name on an anonymous donation. You know, it's kind of funny. And yeah, Andre says altruism. See, sorry, I should keep up on the comments better. I need somebody to like speak in my ear, right? Like tell me, oh, they're talking about this and responding with this, so I don't have to like read it like 10 minutes later. But anyway, yeah, I agree with you totally. Um, Altruism is a complicated one because I remember a couple of years ago I made a video saying even when you do something nice, you're doing it for your own greediness. And people got actually mad at me for that. They like a couple of people were really upset and did not agree at all. They're like, "No, we do nice things because of our spirit or our kindness." And I was like, "Do you though?" I was like, when people really do something nice, do they tell other people about it later? They always do. But that doesn't discount the fact that people jump in the water to save somebody who's drowning. I'm not saying that people don't do selfless deeds. A lot of people die saving other people. The question is why? Is it because it's something inherent within us? Is it a decision that's made? Um, that's a complicated topic. But ultimately, self-preservation, I think, is first and foremost. But that's just my opinion. I'm reading the comments again, so don't mind me. It looks like now there's 30 people. See, I was going to turn it off. There was like 15 people, and I was like, oh, I've got to go. I got to do shit. Now there's like 30 people. Makes me want to stay on here. So, yeah. Thanks for watching, guys. I just wanted to say that. I'm reading the comments, but I feel the reason why I don't, I guess, respond the way that other people might is because I'm not other people. I'm me, and I'm awkward. I thought about this at work today. I was like, my boss, my coworkers must think of me as this weird hippie dude who literally brings plants to work. Like I brought 2 house plants today because the warehouse has no plants in it. And there's no trees around us in the parking lot. So I was like, all right, I'm just bringing 2 plants. I'm going to put one up on my workbench, which I built on the wall for my tools. Because I'm sure you all already know. If you don't, I'm a carpenter, of course. And I build tiny houses. So I'm working for this guy with like a crew of like 4 guys, including the boss. And we're building 2 different tiny houses at the same time, but right now working on this one. And I have all this shit set up with all my tools in the corner with like a little rolling cart. Like if y'all went to school in the 80s and you remember those projector carts, like if you picture going to a school, maybe I don't know how long they use them, but those it's like a weird kind of green color, like a light green colored 2-tiered projection cart where they'd carry out projectors or film projectors basically, and probably later they were digital projectors. But I found some in the dumpster at my kid's school at the end of the year, so I took them home, at least this one, and I wheel it around with all my tools on it. I've got a light that shines down, an LED light, and all my shit set up there at work. And it's just funny because I don't know. I kind of look at myself as like a little over the top. Like I'm pretty bold when it comes to like when I start a new job or go to a new place and meet new people. I can be very shy at first. And then the minute I trust people and realize they're cool, hey man, what's up? Roll out the red carpet and shit, you know, because I like people. I really do. I think people are awesome. So I wanted to say the reason I made this video, just on a side note for future note, yesterday was 7/19, and naturally I forgot to make a video on it. So I thought it would be kind of cool to do it on 7/20 anyway. And people have asked me, what does 7/19 mean? Why is your channel Carpo719? It's really dumb. My email was Carpo420. I have 2 emails, and you're welcome to email me anytime. I always read them eventually, but there's Carpo420 at Comcast.net, and then there's Carpo420 at gmail.com. And so I thought, well, nobody else is going to have Carpo420 if I already have the Gmail. So I went to make my YouTube account in 2011, and Carpo420 was already taken. So I thought, okay, I'll just use my last address from like back when I was a kid. And I think in retrospect, it's because it's where my dad passed away, you know. But it was 719 Southwest 2nd Street. So I was like, all right, or maybe it was Southeast. I think it was Southeast. But anyway, I used that number because I would remember it. And then it became this thing. Of course, people would ask me, of course, where Carpo came from as well. Whoops, I guess I could get into that one too. There's a game called Zonk. Zonk. And my friend found out about it. We were stoners. We were young. It was a college game, I guess, with dice. And it was based on the game called 10,000, where you roll and 3 ones or more worth a certain amount, and, you know, straights and runs, whatever. It was a game called 10,000 with dice, converted into every 1,000 points you take a bong hit. And we were young and dumb, and we would take big bong hits, get really stoned, and then you'd end up getting totally screwed over because you would roll the dice. They'd fall off the little rolling table, and that was called a spaz. So you'd have all these rules where if you mess up or the dice stack on top of each other, you lose your turn. It was very complicated, and I just found all my Zonk boards and, like, you know, the game rules. It was like 10 pages that I wrote. But it was pretty cool playing the game as a kid, but I honestly am trying to remember the point of why I was talking about Zonk. What was the point of Zonk? Maybe it's time to go. Unless somebody can tell me what it was about. But anyway, I'm going to go back through the comments first. A Zoomcast, huh? A movie. Watch this. Alright, here we go. Checkpoint Checky, what's up? It says, I can't watch movies or TV. Rather watch the birds and smoke in my backyard with binoculars. No, I totally respect that. In fact, I was that way for quite a period of time, and then I went through a period where I couldn't watch any violence on TV. I was like, it's disgusting, you know, but then I got back to the point where I can just watch violent action movies and have fun with it. But I've gone through phases. And I guess that's maybe why I've stuck with YouTube so long and just making videos, because, like, I might not want to make one for a week or two and then just make one. Sometimes I'll upload one and never make it public, just leave it unlisted, and then on a day when I don't really want to make a video, I'll just like, make that public. But I'll go for several days without uploading one and be like, you know, I can't think of anything. It's not that I can't think of anything to talk about. Just that I don't feel like anything's worth talking about, I guess. But I got off track there, didn't I? The point was that movies are very distracting. And I didn't want to talk about trivial shit. Like, I'm always surprised when people are, obsessed with movies, but at the same time, I like a good movie. So, that was a long way of answering that. It was a stupid answer, though. I have my moments. I think it's because I have nothing left in my cup, and I'm going to have to go in a minute because I need to go eat food. I have one more day of work left this week. I think you all are pretty cool. Adam, don't pull me back in. He says, should I move from an expensive West Coast city to a cheap off-grid paradise on the East Coast? Discuss. Look, my wife and I have been looking in Kentucky for like a year now. The prices are reasonable. We could get a farmhouse with a barn and mass acreage for like half the price of what our house is worth. But I don't know. I mean, that's a tough one. You also have to realize if something happens with your business, the local economy kind of sucks. But that might not matter either, depending on what you do. And if you live on the West Coast already, you try to buy land out here, it's very expensive. And my wife and I have found that out the hard way. Trying to look for a place with just a few acres even is ridiculous. Like $5,000 an acre minimum. It's insane. I'm not a fan of spending that much. I mean, you can get you've got to shop for a while. But the prices will come down, but you've got to spend like to buy 100 acres. It's almost foolish not to. It's like the best investment you can make. But it's still scary if it's a place you've never been before. Anyway, yeah. Now I'm thinking about moving again. Anywhere out in the Midwest, East, Kentucky is where we've been looking, but there's other places, of course. Leslie says Dayton, close to Dayton. I've thought about Ohio area too. It depends on where you want to move. You know what I mean? Oh, see, you guys were talking about traveling before I even talked about this shit. Okay. Leslie says, got family in Kentucky that lives at the end of a holler. That's the holler. That's hilarious. It's totally different the way they do shit out there. There's like townships and everything out east. Like, we live on the West Coast. There's cities, there's counties, there's states. It's that simple. And most people leave you alone. And that's all I really want, is I want people to leave me alone and let me do my own thing on my own acreage. And Kentucky has the lightest laws, and you can get so much more property for the same price. Damn. See, I just want to walk out on my back porch and be like, yo, there's nothing. Make videos and share stuff and work in my shop. And it sucks, though, because I have a really good job right now with a cool boss. And he's fucking awesome, and my coworkers are cool. And everybody's just stoners, and it's just fun. But we all build awesome carpentry, but we do it on a small scale, building tiny homes on a trailer, but it's in a warehouse, so it gets warm, but we're not in the direct sun. I like it. It's great. But that's funny, because I just, as I said that, saw a comment that said, thoughts on dealing with a difficult boss and difficult people in general. It's funny because I swear to God, it's Spencer Agonost. I've had that question before, almost the same exact question, I swear. Difficult boss and difficult people? It depends. I mean, that is such a subjective question. How you deal with difficult people is very subjective. You could move out to the middle of nowhere and not deal with them anymore. The question comes down to not how to deal with other people, but what's the best way to interact with people, and how do you think they should deal with you? And when you address how they should deal with you, that's when you can start pushing for being treated more fairly. Like it's very subjective. I mean, I've been treated like shit at times, but I've always made my point clear that I don't put up with that shit from any boss, and I'm willing to get fired for a job for that, because it depends on your values and how much you'll stand up for your own shit. It's a fucking job market right now. You can get any job you want, so if you don't like your job, get a different job. That would be my advice, Spencer. Pimp slap. Oh my god, Andre. You're fucking hilarious. That was great. Favorite comment. That's great. But that could also go to you, Spencer. The pimp slap could go to your boss or you. No, I'm kidding. I'm kidding. I want to grow food and crank my tunes at any hour, says Adam. Fuck yeah, dude. Well, I can do that. I got a loud stereo, but um, I guess I grow food too. Grow food, crank tunes. That's funny as shit. Yeah. Yeah, I want to be able to crank out tunes in the fucking middle of the cut. Thanks, Leslie. I appreciate that. Yeah, I just want to make this clear before I go. Because I don't like just ending a live cast and leaving people hanging. That's probably why I don't make many of them. Not that you give a shit. You'll just click on the next stupid fucking thing that distracts you, you moron. I'm kidding. I'm the fucking moron. Whoa! It falls off. It's like you're a dick. Fuck you. My whole fucking recorder falls off. It's not that it matters. I probably will never upload the audio version, but I am going to continue to leave up the live version because it's fun. And I don't do it because of what I say. I do it to let subscribers see the discussion themselves. And it's fun. And I appreciate you all. I like talking about shit. And, you just can't take shit too seriously these days. I try to be serious in my videos because I have to be in certain topics, but dude, I'm always laughing at stupid shit. They know me at work as the guy that just talks to myself. I had to explain to them. I was like, dude, I just do that. I was like, I mumble to myself or sing or talk. I'm wandering around, kind of in my own zone and world. But I get shit done. And I work my ass off. And I care about people.